Okay, yeah, sorry everyone. I know that this has been incredibly late, but well, I know normally I do this on Friday, but John Wick Chapter 3 came out, me and the folks were watching it, and then Saturday, it was a beautiful day out, so, I had some other stuff going on, and yeah, here we are, finally, I'm talking about Kamen Rider Zio episode 35 and Ryusoulger episode 9. So, yeah, starting off with Zio. Yeah, we're finally at the Kiva arc, and we've already and let's see. Oh yeah, and apparently we're just, now it's deciding to go and do a little bit of social commentary since yeah, the person who's gained the powers of another Kiva. The second female another rider aside from Amane who became another Blade. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, she was a Yuko, I think her name was. Yeah, whatever. She'll be irrelevant in the next couple of next episode anyway. But yeah, still, apparently her deal is that apparently she was framed about 10 years or so ago for a murder she didn't commit, and basically she's pissed off, and she was charged for a murder she knows as far as we know she didn't commit. But the Japanese justice system being as it is, all somebody has to do is say, "Hey, look, that guy did it," and then yeah, basically, if you've played Persona 5 and you got into Size Palace, it's it's a perfect metaphor for the Japanese justice system. It's a big casino where the house always wins. And yeah, so she was basically sent away supposedly for a crime she didn't commit, but again, we don't know her full details yet. And yeah, basically her boyfriend has dumped her, and yeah, her life is completely flushed down the toilet, and she's completely pissed off. So of course she'd be perfect for Orla to show up and make her into another rider. And she gives her the powers of another Kiva, and with it, she not only has the powers of Kiva, but she can also summon the arms monsters. Let's see, Jiro, the Frankenstein, and the Merman monster. And not only can she summon the three arms monsters, but she can also wield their weapon forms, just like, the actual Kiva. And, so instead of actually trying to figure out, who actually committed the crime that she was charged with, she instead decides to go and hunt down the prosecutor, her defense attorney, and her boyfriend, basically to get her revenge on them and kill them. Interesting tidbit here. It looks like Sogo is starting to develop Peter Parker syndrome, and that it seems like every single person that comes into contact with him in some way, either ends up dead or becomes a monster or becomes a villain. Since back in 2008, when Sogo was just a little kid, the girl Yuko, when she was still in high school, well, she saw him, playing by himself, but he was crying because he scraped his knee, and so she kind of took pity on him, gave him a Band-Aid, and agreed to play with him for the afternoon, and basically basically because she just felt sorry for the little dude. And Sogo, being the deluded idiot that he is, basically, she became his first crush. And yeah, it's because of this, he automatically thinks that she's completely innocent in everything that she was accused of, just because, well, again, she got this little willy tickling. Yeah, Sogo, you're supposed to be thinking with this head, not that head. And let's see. Since this is the Kiva arc, you think that maybe Wataru or Saga would probably show up. But nope. Since the arms monsters are out and about, and I'm not exactly sure. Are they still supposed to be confined inside Castle Duran? I don't know. Yeah, Jiro is running around and basically just hitting up the old cafe that he used to frequent, and basically just basically just be Jiro. But apparently, picking somebody with an axe to grind is kind of a bit of a dumb choice for picking another rider, since Yuko, all those years of being locked up for a crime she didn't commit, yeah, she's gone extremely bitter, and the power has gone straight to her head, and she's basically going to burn anybody who tries to tell her otherwise, including Aura. Yeah. And yeah, I'm guessing that maybe the common trait between, I've been seeing like kind of a distinction between certain and other riders. Like I said before, usually the ones that are mindless beasts, and the other ones that are actually sapient and in control themselves. Like when the god Dan Kuroto became another O's, and with Hiru as another Zo. Basically, it looks like only those who actually have a very strong will or obsession in this. Will, obsession, whatever you want to call it. Basically, somebody who's has a strong obsession with something seems to be able to maintain and control themselves as another when they become another rider. Other times, just like with the basketball player and another Akito, who we do absolutely nothing about, they just become mindless monsters. So yeah. And the priority should be tracking down another Kiva and making sure she doesn't get a revenge on the people that, wronged her. Although, a good way to placate the situation is to actually approach her and say, hey, how's about instead of killing, actually killing people, how's about instead we work together and we track down the person who did commit the crime that you were charged with, you get off scot-free, and then we can just go and take, that way we don't have to add more bodies to the pile. But, of course, they don't think of this because they're idiots. Instead of just focusing on another Kiva, we also have ourselves an evil future Kamen Rider showing up to wreck even more shit. Kamen Rider Ginga. And yeah, Ginga just shows up completely out of nowhere, and he just completely curve stomps Zo Trinity. And yeah, because he's a future Kamen Rider, that's where Woz is going to be getting his Woz is going to be getting his ultimate form from. With the Ginga Mirai Watch. But yeah, aside from that, and Sogo once again proving why he is not why he is not qualified to be a king. I mean, Sogo is, let's see, hell, the king of cartoons is probably more qualified to be a king than Sogo is. But, we've all experienced that before, so yeah. Another Kiva and Kamen Rider Ginga are running around, so we'll just see how, and yeah, Sogo's basically Peter Parker. Not a whole lot. We're at 35 episodes, just a few more left to go. And just a few more, and then we can finally get rid of Zo and move on to Kamen Rider 01, I think it is, the first rider of the Reiwa era. Anyway, and speaking of heroes being idiots, we have Ryusoulger episode 9. Where, basically the whole focus of this episode is that, Melto is basically just being exasperated with Ko and Asuna reckless idiocy when just, basically those two are more, seem to just prefer charging straight at the Minasaur and destroying it, whereas Melto, the episode tries to frame it as him not trusting them and basically, both sides aren't exactly in the right in this one. While Ko and Asuna are trying to come up with new strategies to go up against Minasaurs, Melto's basically always just constantly nitpicking. He's like, oh wait, what if one of us gets taken out? What if somebody? Where's your suggested pal? What do you suggest? Just maybe Asuna and Ko will respect you more if you contribute more than just constantly nitpicking. It's not just with the core three that are had themselves some trouble members. Let's see. I'm still blanking on the Grain's name. Towa. There we go, Towa. Basically the plot. Towa is also he's the hyperactive. He's also been basically written as the hyperactive idiot between him and Bamba. But Bamba pretty much has no choice but to tolerate him since, Towa's his brother. You know what they say, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. And Melto's probably wishing that he had some more friends to pick from since the Minasaur today takes the form of a treasure chest, which that Waizoru and Creon basically they're using this particular Minasaur to suck people into basically a pocket dimension that's inside the chest Minasaur. I think it's based off of a mimic or something. And he says sometimes they just take the form of treasure chest and champa champa champa. Yeah, basically they suck these. They're sucking their victims into, yeah, basically in the guise of a kind of a fancy-esque escape room sort of thing. Basically sucking them inside this pocket dimension where all their basically their cheapest desires are granted. Basically the guy, I want more money. A bunch of high school girls are like, I want more makeup, and Ozra is like, I want an endless supply of meat to eat. And Toa is like, I want an endless supply of Druidons to go and fight and get stronger. That kind of thing. Where their superficial desires are granted to the point where, let's see, yeah, basically it's a King Midas plot. They get so much of it that they can't, they have no idea how to get rid of all of it. Oh, no way, King Midas, or, for JoJo fans, the Milagro Man. Yeah, basically it's a Milagro Man. Basically the stand is Milagro Man. Yeah, they get loaded with so much of what they want. It's basically, there is such thing as too much of a good thing. And yeah, while everybody else, aside from Melto, is basically caught up with their superficiality, Melto is the only one being sensible and trying to figure out a way out of there. But when Ko tries to, figures, hey, there's a barrier around this place, let's smash it. Melto tries to point out, yeah, we don't know exactly what's going to happen if it's going to break, but again, just constantly nitpick. It's basically him just constantly nitpicking. They try to frame this episode as basically Melto just not having trust issues between him and his teammates, but again, it just seems kind of like the guy's just overly nitpicking. Even though again they're trying to frame it as him overthinking things, but no, the guy's just a nitpicker. Yeah, he's basically just the blue hair seems apt since he's basically Marge Simpson. All that's missing is him just going. The interesting thing about this episode is that he gets a visit from basically a ghost, or maybe it was the power of the Minosaur. He basically gets a visit from Master Blue, who basically just tells him, listen to your teammates and just quit being such a little nitpicking ass clown. Yeah, I was just like, okay. And a unique thing about this particular Minosaur is that it wasn't actually born from a human. Apparently, basically, objects, physical objects, if they've been around and not destroyed long enough, and experience a myriad of emotions, basically it acts like certain gates from Gado. Basically, objects that have been attracted to such negativity and, in this Minosaur's case, neglect. Yeah, basically, the treasure, the mimic Minosaur was birthed from from an abandoned diorama that actually contained the pocket dimension, and inanimate objects can give birth to Minosaurs if they've been exposed to enough negativity. So. Yeah, basically the Minosaurs are just like a Sentai version of the Unversed from Birth by Sleep. And Creon is basically Vanitas, only, nowhere near as just gleefully sadistic as just, plain old-fashioned sadistic. And since these particular Minosaurs are born from inanimate objects, we don't have any problem destroying them in order to get rid of the Minosaurs. So, hey, at least we have a compromise there. But Melto, learns the phoned in lesson that he was apparently supposed to learn. The team supposedly starts listening to him more or whatever. And they manage to escape the mimic Minosaur, and Bamba finds from where it was birthed from, smashes it, and Wiseru just gets to act like a ham again. So, a whole lot of nothing. And unfortunately, while again, Melto's framed in this episode as being a nagging Marge Simpson, you kind of can't help but feel for the guy a little bit when it just kind of feels like he's being dragged down by the incompetence of his peers. But again, you're not exactly going to get through to these guys if all you have is just constant nitpicking without actual. And yes, there is a difference between nitpicking and criticism. Yeah, nitpicking is just pointing out the flaws and not offering a solution, whereas criticism is addressing, pointing out the flaws and giving out suggestions to address and resolve the solution. Yeah, so Zio, or at the 35 episode mark, Ryusoulger is starting to grind my gears a bit. I mean, it's nowhere. I mean, again, I'm probably going to stick through with Ryusoulger since, again, it's nowhere near as infuriating as Tokyuger, the Ninja, or Q-Ranger. But again, just Toei, if you're trying to get viewers back, Let's see, 3/5 of your protagonists being idiots, not a good way to do it. We'll see if things try and shake up with when they introduce Ryusoulger Golden later on. So yeah, short, sweet, and sorry for being so late. I'll scheduling for the last couple of days has been my timing for the last couple of days has just been weird. Peace.